Hello and welcome to your Recipe for Financial Success with me, Emma, and my colleagues Becky and Julie.
In each episode, we'll be bringing you a list of ingredients to help you cook up a storm and master methods to finesse your finances. We'll be helping you expand your repertoire and hopefully teach you a few new skills along the way.
So, clear the counters and get your mixing bowls ready for today's recipe. Let's get started.
Thank you for joining me today, Philip. I'm really excited to be talking to you today about private medical insurance.
You're very welcome, Emma. It's my pleasure.
So I'm going to start off today. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and how you came to do the role that you do right now?
Right, so my name's Philip Morter and I'm a senior partner at WPA. So I took out a policy for my family and my key staff 18 years ago with WPA, and we've been with them ever since. Transpired about 8 years ago, we were talking to somebody at head office. WPA are a very customer focused, friendly and local based organisation, and they like partners all around the country. There's 88 at the moment to look after their local clients. So they didn't have anybody in Norfolk at the time, and I was talking and they said, would you be interested in taking on the area and looking after it for us? Which I looked into. I did the exams, took 6 months, and that's what I did. So, and I've been doing that for 8 years, as I say. The last 2 years I've been made a senior partner, so I help some of the new recruits and do some more management role. So yeah, that's how I became to be where I am at the moment.
So what did you do previous to WPA?
Previously to that, I ran my wife's family business. They were in retail. They had some Euronic shops in Norfolk. And prior to that, I'd worked at Norwich Union when it was still Norwich Union in Norwich. And prior to that, I ran a local newsagents for a nationwide chain. So I've had experience of retail, the insurance sector, head office administration, and being out in the fields talking to customers face to face.
Wow. So
very customer focused all my career.
Of wide variety of different things though.
Yeah. I'd like to think I'm fairly good at them though.
Good. So can you tell us what your first memory of money is? Do you remember anything from
I've got two early memories of money and I can't remember which is the first. So I'll tell you briefly. I remember one Christmas afternoon after lunch, we were in the kitchen tidying up and washing up, and my elder grandfather came through and he gave us a £1 coin, me and my little brother. So I remember that. And another thing, we were always brought up to save our Christmas money and our birthday money, but we were allowed to spend any money we earned. So I used to sell surplus lettuces and things at the gate, and we used to go strawberry picking in the school holidays to earn money, pocket money to spend. They're my two early money memories, I think.
Oh, lovely though that you can remember. What did you used to save up for with your Christmas and birthday money?
Oh no, Christmas and birthday was had to be saved and invested. We weren't allowed to spend that, but we could spend what we earned. I saved up once and bought a little Mammoth steam engine, and I used to collect little cowboys. Used to buy cowboys and Indians from the village shop. Just toys, just silly little things. Nothing exciting.
Things that you enjoyed though.
Oh yes, you've got to have something to enjoy in life, haven't you?
Indeed. So private medical insurance is what you do, but I don't know a huge amount about it. Obviously, anytime I need help with it, I come to you as my go-to person. So can you just tell us briefly what it is so people know what we're actually talking about today?
Right, private medical insurance it gives the individual the choice to choose when they're treated, how they're treated, and who by they are treated. So, for example, I've got private medical insurance. When my son was ill, when he was in his teens, he had a really bad skin condition. And as a teenage boy, that was quite, not upsetting, but, there was a stigma to it. The GP couldn't do anything about it. The medication didn't do anything. So we saw a skin specialist privately. They paid for medication that wasn't available on the NHS list, and that helped resolve it and sort it out. So by having private insurance, we could choose a top specialist, we could have access to drugs that are not available on the NHS list, We didn't have to wait. You just got freedom of choice, basically. You've got more choice.
So it's not a case that the NHS isn't good enough or anything like that. It just gives
No, 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 no. I never say that, never say that. I always think when I go, if I have to go to see a private consultant, I'm saving a place on the NHS waiting list for somebody else.
you.
Um, you could say you're double paying because you pay your taxes anyhow, but I'm okay with that. I pay my taxes, it goes towards the NHS. I use the GP, I use the local nurse. We've had the COVID injections on the NHS, no problems at all. You mix and match and marry in together. It just gives you a little bit more freedom of choice.
Fantastic. So, what sort of person would you say private medical insurance is for? Is there anyone in particular that should have it, or tell us?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. Basically, anybody can have it. It's very, very important, I think, for self-employed individuals and business owners and key staff. Because if you've got a key member of staff, or you're a self-employed window cleaner or a bricklayer, and you've got a medical problem, you don't want to be waiting 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months for some treatment or some diagnosis if you're unable to work and function properly because you're not earning. So the speed and the selection process is really important for those sort of people. Elderly people use it more. So I always, if somebody's, there's no restriction on age generally. Key staff are important as well. One thing I've noticed this year is firms are, rather than giving staff pay rise, they're looking at the employees' benefit packages.
Right.
So they get access to the employees' assistance program, physiotherapy, eye tests, things like that. Because obviously we're all concerned about health at the moment, and COVID has put everything into focus. We're looking after the important things and being sensible about our health. And a lot of firms are thinking more about the employees' packages rather than just giving them an annual pay rise.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that, from your experience, that employees are finding those benefits worthwhile and they'd prefer to have that to a pay rise? Or
definitely, yeah. Private medical insurance, it's been statistically proved that private medical insurance is the most appreciated employee benefit an employer can provide for their staff. It's the most highly regarded benefit they can have.
I must admit, I actually had it when I used to work at Norwich and Peterborough Building Society. It's something that we had through work, and it's one of those things you don't realise how much of a benefit is until, like, I left employment there and left and didn't have it anymore, and then you realise actually that was a really good benefit, that my eye test was included and so much money off glasses and all those sorts of things that you don't realise how much you can actually take from that policy.
No, and also by using it with your eye tests and your dental, you get a little bit of usage every year, and you're not just paying in, or your employer's paying in, waiting for you to be ill. In the old days, you had a private medical insurance and you just paid your premium every month, and you only saw the benefit when you were ill. And that could be years and years and years in the future. But nowadays, with the add-ons of the dental, the optical, physio, remote GP is another use benefit these days. So you can talk to a private GP over the telephone without having to go to your surgery. These products have evolved and developed, especially in the last 12 months due to COVID, phenomenally.
Brought it on massively. It's really interesting to say that as well. So I obviously deal with a lot more life insurance and life cover and income protection, all those sorts of things, and they're obviously things that you pay your premiums for, and unless you're off sick long term, or you have a critical illness, or you die, that's the only time you actually see a benefit from that cover. Whereas you're saying from a private medical insurance, you could see a benefit from it on a regular basis.
Yeah, if you've got a package where you've got your get your money back for your glasses and your dental, you can get some back every year as a benefit without waiting just to be ill.
So how does a package work? Does it tend to be something quite standard, and then there's lots of add-on things that you can have to it to improve the policy?
Yeah. Basically, you get your core cover, and then you've got add-ons. So, for example, on my policy, I've got worldwide cover added on, which was only about £3 or £4 a month, I think, extra. But 2 years ago, I went to Australia for a month, and we used that £500,000 medical insurance as the insurance for our cover for our whole trip. So we didn't have to take out special travel insurance. We already had the basic through the bank for the flights and that sort of thing. Yeah, there's various options: physiotherapy, counselling, different options, and you select what you want. And if you've got a good policy, you can adjust it at renewal each year as well. So yeah.
So something like the travel part that you've just said about, is that something that you could have 1 year and then not have another year, or?
Yeah, don't tell anybody. I've taken my travel off this year at renewal because I've got no plans to go abroad for the next 12 months. And I can put it back on at next renewal. So hopefully when we all go on holiday the year after abroad.
And this is a really random question and very topical at the moment, but say with the WPA policy, would that cover you for COVID as well, being worldwide or not?
Very good question. No. So the simple answer is no, but most of the policies have got what we call NHS cash equivalent.
Right.
So if you are treated into the NHS and don't claim on the insurance policy, you can get a lump sum back. Now, I always emphasize it's not an incentive to stop you claiming, but sometimes you aren't able to claim. So one example is if you had a car accident, you would have 999 accident emergency intensive care. That's all streamlined, organised NHS system, which you would just go with the flow. When you come out of intensive care, that's when you would get the choice to go to a private hospital or stay with the NHS or do whatever you sees fit or your consultant sees best for you. For that period, you were looked after by the National Health Service. You could claim up to £200 a day off your insurance policy because you were ill and not claiming at the time. The same thing happens for COVID. So if you were taken into intensive care, into a Nightingale, for example, there is no private equivalent. So you couldn't use your private policy. You could collect up to that £200 a day. It's designed to pay out of pocket expenses because when you go to an NHS hospital, you've got car park and your relatives are backwards and forwards. You might bring you magazines and things, which would be stuff which you would get free under the private sector.
The cost of the TV in the hospital, because I hear that's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, things like out-of-pocket expenses. So you've got a package of up to £200 a day or night while you're being treated under the NHS on your private medical insurance, up to about £4,500 a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
There we go. I've been learning some new things there. Definitely. So how much would you say that private medical insurance would cost the average person? Obviously, I'm guessing it's something, is it based on health conditions? So if someone had...
No, right. So sorry to correct you. It's not based on health conditions. Well, some companies, right? Yeah, okay, yeah. So some companies do base it on that, but WPA base the premiums on your age and your postcode. So, for example, if you lived in Norwich or in our postcode, and you were a 30-year-old, I would generally estimate, if you wanted a ballpark quote, £1 a day. All right, so £30 a month roughly. If you were 50s, I would say 50 to 60, £2 a day. So £60 a month. That's very, very general, but most people are surprised. Well, actually, I once quoted for a young family, and I gave them the price for I think it was the mum and 3 children. And she said, gosh, we pay more to insure the 2 dogs than that costs. So that illustrates that sometimes pet insurance is more expensive than private medical insurance for your children.
And it's incredible how many people would insure the pets, but not their family.
I often say how many people in the room have got insurance for the pets, but not the children.
Yeah, and I bet there's a huge amount.
Yes. Yeah. It's because we've been brought up with the NHS and we take it for granted and we don't bother for the add-on. I mean, we're all accustomed, and I'm not knocking IFAs, it's not, but we have to have life insurance for your mortgage, and if you've got your own business, you have critical illness. But generally, medical insurance is the third key one that's forgotten about sometimes. Whether that's because it's complicated, or whether that's because that's medical and blue rubber gloves and things like that, I don't know. But anyhow, there's no rubber gloves involved at all.
That's all right then. Good to know. So, if one of our listeners wanted to get in touch with you and wanted to find out more about how they could have private medical insurance, what it would entail for them, how would they get in contact with you?
Well, you can either get in contact direct and say you're a client of Emma's or Face-to-Face Finance, or you can get in touch through your office, and then the office will email me. I mean, I'm based just outside Fakenham. Obviously, we're not doing personal calls at the moment. My mobile number is 0787 680 6870 if anyone wants to ring me direct. Or you can look on the WPA website and pop your postcode in, and then all my contact details come up.
Fantastic. So, do you have one top tip or one key takeaway for our listeners about private medical insurance that you think would be useful to them?
I would ask a question. So if you're curious, how much does it cost? What does it cover? I would just ask the question. And I have said many, many, many times in the last few years, look at it as like passing your driving test. You've only got to look into it and do the paperwork and sign up once, and then you're covered. All right. So there's a lot of people think, oh, it's expensive, or it's not for us, or we don't know what's involved. Just ask the question. Just give me a call. There's no cost just to have a 20-minute chat. But one other thing I always says, if you can't afford it, you can't have it. I'm sorry. That's what Granny used to tell me. If you can't afford it, you can't have it.
That's fair enough completely. So, being your recipe for financial success, it wouldn't be right if I didn't ask you what your favourite recipe is. Now, I know you've had a little help from your wife here, and she sent me over a picture already, and it does look delicious. So do you want to tell our listeners what your favourite recipe is?
Yeah, right. Well, I'm afraid I'm not worried much about sweets or alcohol, but I mean, food is my weakness. And my favourite recipe, we recently, or last year, we became vegetarians or flexi-vegetarians. We're not strict, but our younger son talked us into a bit sort of error of our ways. Anyhow, we grow an awful lot of vegetables. So our favourite one at the moment, I think, would be my wife's vegetable stew and Norfolk dumplings, because she does make lovely dumplings.
Well, I must admit, like I say, it looks delicious, and it's a recipe that I'm definitely going to try. So, I hear you're the grower and she's the cooker. So
That's right. Yeah. I grow the vegetables and she cooks them.
That sounds fair to me. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Philip. It's been a pleasure to have you. And like I say, we'll be in touch in future, and I'm sure we'll have you back in for some more podcasts in future where we can go into a bit more detail possibly and help some more people.
You're more than welcome. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Take care.
And with that, we've completed today's recipe. We hope you have enjoyed following along with us today and cooking yourself one recipe closer to a financially secure future.
If you've enjoyed today's podcast, you can head over to www.recipeforfinancialsuccess.co.uk, where you can find out more information and a full list of ingredients from today's recipe. For more hints, tips and tasters, find us on Facebook at Your Recipe for Financial Success.
If you'd like to get more involved, share your own experiences and learn from a friendly community on a similar journey to you, why not join us in our new Facebook group, The Money Compass, where we will support you to navigate your way to financial success.
Thank you for listening, and see you next time.